All right. So, what's going on, guys? We are finally. That put the spoiler warning on there. I did, didn't I? I fucking did. Okay, you've been
Yeah,
warned. We're going in.
spoilies.
All
We're
right.
going in.
We're about to talk about Hereditary. Full spoilers. And as per usual, I am not alone this time. I'm joined by none other than Fail Whale, son. Goddamn, Michael, what's going on, man?
How's it going, everyone? Yo, thank you so much for having me on here, Joel. It's always good to hang out with the homie and just talk movies. So especially this movie, considering how great it is.
Yeah.
Spoilers.
And let me double check one more thing. No, we're solid. We're solid. I always get so concerned about the technical details, but I guess Ari Aster does as well because just to start things off. First off, we're going full spoilers. Just I'm going all over the place. I think
Mhm.
that you said that I watched your review, which was very good. Actually, it was very concise. Do you think have you seen any of his prior short films at all?
No, I hadn't. I was
Interesting.
familiar that he had dropped, some other sort of similar horror short films, and that Hereditary was his actual first debut.
Yeah.
But well, first debut. This was his debut, so no, I hadn't seen any of his previous work though.
Oh wow. Well, I
Have
mean, I've only seen one, which I actually reviewed months and months ago when I was hyped up on Hereditary. Then I think about January, I believe,
mm.
and what was it? The strange thing about the Johnsons, which, fam, let me tell you, if you have no idea
Oh,
what, if you have
I didn't
no,
even. Oh, that's the one that you sent me.
yes, yes,
Oh, I didn't even
yes,
realize he did that. Oh my gosh. So actually,
abs.
I had seen one of his things then. Yeah.
Oh, you've seen the strange thing about.
Yeah, fam. Right when you linked it to me, I watched it. I was on like a long drive somewhere, and I watched that shit.
Okay, okay. First off, just real quick, what do you think about that? Because in my opinion, that is a perfect like little teaser for Hereditary. I think you know.
Yeah, I think it's sort of if that would describe his tone, I guess, as a filmmaker.
Mm-hmm.
I think Hereditary and Think About the Johnsons pretty much are pretty accurate to what he does.
Yeah, because oh well, I guess I should be mindful of spoilers. Because I suppose not everyone's heard of it. But if you haven't heard of the strange thing about the Johnsons, I'll probably include the Vimeo link down below. Seriously, I shit you not. Within the first 1 to 3 minutes, you will understand real quick why I think it's extraordinary. All I gotta say is that photograph, though. Anyway, so let's talk about Hereditary here. I think that we're seeing the birth of something big. I've read a lot of or listened to a lot of read interviews. I know Ari has said that he's got a lot of scripts lined up. He might want to do a musical. I know he's spoken about wanting to do a sci-fi film.
Hmm.
I think he's going to be doing another horror film through A24. Is it A24? I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, this definitely doesn't seem like a one hit wonder. I think he's here to stick around, fam. And I
Yeah.
think I think we have a new master on our hands. Do you think that's a fair statement, even though he's only made one film feature?
I mean, to be fair, he only has had one, movie,
Yeah.
but the level of quality that he brought to the table, uh, it was something that is no easy feat. So I think if anything, it just shows, his room
Uh
to
huh.
improve and to even get better. If Hereditary was just his first film, so I think he definitely is a force to be reckoned with going forward.
I
And
just
I
I
think he's going to get a lot of movie clout going forward, especially if his next feature is anything even close to what Hereditary was.
First off, if he can make if he can make a horror film equivalent or better than Hereditary, then I don't even know what that means. Because in my personal opinion, not only did I give the film a 10 out of 10, but
Mhm.
like we could be potentially talking about my favorite film of the year. We could be potentially talking about. I think this might be the scariest film I've ever seen in general. I'm gonna spend the rest of the year kind of mulling that over, but I mean, I can't think of the last time like I felt like this movie like just chewed up my brain and just spat it back into my skull when I left. You know what I'm saying? Like,
No, I completely agree with you on that. Like I was telling Jor-El, like right when I got home, like I had to wake up early to make another video, but Like I had to record my review quickly. I had to, DM Jor-El, and I'm like, bro, like, did you see? He's like, I seen it, and then I'm just like my head still hurts. Like I can't, like I'm distraught.
What's I guess let's talk about because I didn't even take notes, so we're going all over the place. But I guess
Yeah, let's go.
what were your thoughts when you left the theater initially? Because for me, I honestly, this is the only horror film where I was legitimately traumatized when it ended. Like I was in actual shock, for real.
No,
But like sometimes I'll say when I see a comedy, I'll be like, man, like it was funny, but like it had too many jokes, you know. This might be the first horror film I've ever seen where if I had to pick a negative, I think there's almost too many scares. There were scares that when I was watching it the second time through that I had literally forgot about, fam. Literally forgot about. For example, I can't believe I'm gonna say this, but the little girl's severed head in the middle of the road, sunny day, with ants crawling all over it, looking like someone just beat the hell out of it, like it was a pinata. That snapshot, I forgot that even happened. I forgot
yeah.
that moment happened. I'm dead serious.
They
Like
just assault you so much with all this imagery and just like heavy shit
oh,
that you kind of forget about it. The way that they just structure the film, it's
but I guess for you, what were your initial thoughts crawling out of the theater?
yeah. So I mean, before I can even say what I thought, after the movie, I mean, just going through the thing was a freaking roller coaster.
Yeah.
This was probably one of the few movies, if any, that I was like concerned. I was concerned whether or not I can continue watching it. Like I'm not even joking. There were more than 5 moments in the movie where I was like, yo, like I don't like I'm scared to keep watching. Like I don't know if I can keep doing this. So
Right.
by the end of it, I kid you not, like my head was throbbing. I was like, what the fuck just happened? I had no words,
Yeah.
but I knew it was brilliant. Like it was just a mix and match of all these things, and
Hmm.
I had that feeling until the next morning.
Yeah, it's almost like I had a fucking panic attack, bro.
Yeah,
Like the
man.
movie. One thing I noticed, particularly in the second viewing, was the anxiety that this film
Yeah,
gave
man.
me. You know?
Like I was distressed. Like literally, I was like, I'm like this. This is what my friend Angie was saying. She's like, I've never felt so stressed during and at the end of a movie, and like that's exactly how I felt. Like I was just so stressed out for this family.
Yeah.
You know,
It
but
like there's just like no hope. I've never seen a horror film that just seems to establish like no hope and just like despair the
mhm.
whole time. And it's a long movie too, or at least it feels long anyway.
No, yeah,
Um,
it's about. I think it's like 2 hours on the dot or something like that.
and well, let's just talk about it because we
Sure,
have
let's.
to. And
No, for sure.
I've been wanting to publicly say this for so long, fam, or at
Yo,
least
let
it
it out,
feels that
fam. Let
way.
it out.
The fact, and I think this was confirmed by the actor Alex Wolf. Is that his name? Because I know he has
Yeah,
a
that's the son in the movie. Yeah.
yeah. I think this was confirmed by him, but about 20 minutes into the film, Michael, think about this. He just beheaded a 13-year-old. The fuck? Like that really happened. And another thing I noticed when I saw it for a
Yeah.
second time is that whatever the goddamn
This man said
the street pole or whatever that hits.
oh, it
First
had the
off,
sign. It had the sign on it,
yeah,
right?
it had the sign, the little witchcraft sign, the emblem that the mother was,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Annie's mother was obsessed with. Not only was that stamped on there, they foreshadowed that goddamn pole as what's his name? As the boy was going to the party, they foreshadowed it. Like
Yeah,
there's a quick cut where like you see him driving by, and there's this
and then it holds the
freakish,
frame.
yeah, there's a freakish like close up on the pole and on the symbol as well, which I missed the first time. It's really interesting.
Yeah,
Uh, I guess let's just break that down. Like, she's reacting to and he even showed us. There was even a quick cut of some bitch just chopping up nuts. It's like it's amazing that I didn't put two and two together. And when she's saying that she can't breathe, fam. When he was in the car driving, I have never felt such dread. I was like, oh my god, he's going.
bro.
You know what's weird? I was thinking like, damn, he's about to get arrested. He's gonna be in handcuffs at the hospital, right? Right? Or at least that's what I was thinking, right?
Yo,
And then,
when this man said, "I'm gonna just sleep it off," I have never been so like hurt and like confused as to what I'm
Yes,
watching in my life.
yes,
I was like, word, word.
yes, fam.
Just that entire sequence was just one of the most like bizarre, like amazing, out there things I think I've ever seen on film.
That is one of the most batshit left turns of any script I think I've
Oh,
ever witnessed.
oh
Like,
my! Totally set the tone for the rest of the
yes,
movie.
yes,
But just speaking on the pole thing you mentioned, I actually the imagery in this film
yeah,
is super heavy, and they really do give you the the hints earlier on. But
yeah,
at the same time, what they do is they're like you just can't really tell what they're going for in terms of I guess the overall sort of narrative or like whose perspective the story is being told from. So when you start
sure.
guessing things, putting it together, at least I found like a lot of times some of the guesses I was making wouldn't end up even working because
Hmm.
they just didn't. They changed up what the idea was for the movie or like whose perspective was. Or I think you don't really realize it until the actual end. You get like, oh wow, like the film's about so and so, which I'll touch about later on. But the poll I did notice it the first time,
Hmm. Oh,
and I
did
did
you?
notice
Okay.
it. Yeah, I did notice the symbol, but so I noticed the pole just being stood out, and I noticed the symbol on the pole, but I didn't even take it until you said it that was a pole that knocked off the daughter's head.
Legit, fam. And another first timer. The first time I saw this, I actually looked away. I never do that. As soon as my brain connected that she was about to get decapitated, I literally looked away. I was like, "Oh no! Oh
I,
no!"
dude, I kept watching it because I'm like, there's no fucking way they're doing this. And then they did it, and I looked at the screen and I yelled it like out loud verbally. I was like, what the actual, like, fuck? I was
Yeah,
just,
bro. So when I saw it a second time, I, can, I he just showed it outright, but it was so careful. It was beautifully edited, if you could say such a thing. But
yeah,
seriously
because
though,
sort of like what he swerved from like the dog or whatever is dead in the middle of the
yeah, I
road,
think
and
it was
then
like a dead deer or something.
man, like,
And he swerves out of the way, and just oh my god, that wet thud, right? And then
dude,
that burst of blood spray, right? And then it's that I think that's what did it. The fact that we stare at him, right? We just watch his silent
it's
reaction.
like it's because like something like it's the one thing you probably wouldn't expect from even from a horror movie. You wouldn't
Yeah,
expect them to do something like that.
yeah,
I was expecting maybe, she might. I was even thinking maybe she might die. Fuck it, she might die in the hospital.
maybe,
They might, just pass through it. That's it. Continue on. But they
sure.
fucking did such a gruesome, you know, dreadful situation. It was
Woo!
like they just kept doubling down on how depressing the movie kept getting.
Yeah,
And what's worse? What could be worse than that happening is doing absolutely nothing and keep going on like nothing's wrong.
bro, she was 13 years old, bro, or at least the character was anyway, and like watching him sort of, I think, accept was maybe one of the most difficult things I've ever had to witness. Like watching him drive home and he just goes to bed, fam, and
And
like,
here the also the audio, the sound design in this movie was
ooh,
ridiculous. But
rough.
just hearing and seeing like him in bed, hearing the
Yeah.
mom yelling, oh my god, the cues were just so on point.
By the way, I'm about to get real nerdy. I'm sorry for those of you who are not into filmmaking, but the fact that my man brought back some crossfade transitions, I was like, oh, going like Stanley Kubrick in this bitch, right? And
What do
then
we have
like
here?
when he was laying in bed, and there's this beautiful crossfade of so you see him, you see a widescreen shot of him walking forward, getting to bed, and you see that
Uh-huh.
crossfade like into his onto a close up of his face, almost as if implying that like he's like trapped. I don't know, like he's in, this is his mental prison now. I don't know, but something along those lines. I think that's what I feel like the crossfades. Some of them are very. There's a double entendre meaning going on, 100%. But like, man, when he's laying awake in the morning and you have to hear, that's what fucks me up. You don't see their initial reaction. You have to imagine what it was like for her ass to go downstairs,
Man,
her
so
screams,
so so tense.
her screams were so heartbreaking, particularly when she was what was she saying? She was like bent over and the husband was by her, and she was
And
like, "I want
she's
to
like, kill me.
die."
She's like, I want to. Yeah, even that is just like it's foreshadowing and all that shit. Um, yeah, it's just crazy. And you know what's also wild is at the end of the movie.
Yeah,
You know how we're talking about like the sound design and how like it's sort of like you see and then you hear afterwards, like the effects.
yeah.
It even had to do at the end of the movie too when the last like sequence or two sequence happening, some similar thing happened there. If
Okay.
I'm not mistaken.
I
Um,
just, oh my
but
god. I think I was saying this to someone else, but I personally think that the beheading of this girl might actually be better than the twist in the Sixth Sense. Personally, for me, I think it
where
is really. I do think so. I think this is the new I see dead people type of thing. I really do, man, because I just don't see how anyone could watch that sequence and just not have that tear their head off. You know, it's so unexpected. It's so unexpected. Like,
yeah, man, like because you're starting the movie and you can't like you're when you're putting the pieces together, it's
mm,
like you really that's the last thing in your mind. You know what I'm saying?
yeah,
Even
yeah,
though they give you the hints with like the bird and her cutting it off, and you're just trying to get a because it's still 20 minutes. You're still trying to get your grounding for where they're trying to go with this movie, especially a horror movie that isn't showing any indications of anything really scary. Um, so when something like that just happens, it
I
knocks
mean,
you out.
that's gotta be. It's gotta be an all timer, though, right? It's gotta be an all timer. That moment. I mean, good God. And then what was it? By
And
the
the
way,
funniest part is, ladies and
yeah,
gentlemen, that's only one of like 10 sort of chilling moments.
yeah, yeah. It's almost as if he approached the story as if like he had 10 things on like a chalkboard, and he was like, guys, we are literally not walking away from these 10 things until each of these 10 things is like, each one is like the craziest, most batshit thing that we could draw from this
Until they
family.
happen and they make sense within our narrative,
Right, right. For
we
real,
ain't
for
we ain't
real.
making this shit. No, facts.
Behead. Oh God, just that quick cut of her severed head in the middle of the road, covered by ants. Ooh boy, bro, fam! If this movie wins any Oscars, they had better use that snapshot. Okay, they got to, fam.
Yeah,
Goodness. Do you think? I feel like there's some kind of underlining message with the ants, but I haven't truthfully figured it out. For example,
with the ants. Okay.
we see ants on her severed head. Sadly, there's a part where Tony Collette she wakes up from a nightmare covered in ants.
That was like that wasn't it like the multiple layered nightmare.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And those
Mhm.
ants are covering the sun's face. What do you think? You think the ants might stand for something? I mean, it seems a little bit too specific to be random.
It seems, yeah, no, definitely. There should be some intention behind that.
Hmm.
I hadn't really thought about the ant sort of metaphor. The only one that I kind of really put two and two together was the miniature figures in the dollhouses.
Mm.
But if I had to guess, maybe the ants were to sort of represent, I don't know, maybe them, how tiny, insignificant they are. I don't know. I'm just
Maybe.
shooting in the dark there, but
There's something there for sure.
oh no, no, for sure, because they did come back to that. But the one, sort of metaphor that was really, really big, especially in the beginning of the movie, that sort of really made the film stand out to me right off the jump was the whole miniature house sort of,
Yes. Yes. The
fixation and
miniatures.
her job,
Yes.
and how even the framing, like like the cinematography and the directing, how they sort of made it become the frame
Yeah.
was brilliant to me.
Yeah. There's many times where the real life interiors in the real life house and the real life environments actually look like the goddamn miniatures.
And you know what's crazy too is so like Annie's creating these figures and these dolls and these miniatures because one is her job that we see, but at the same time it's because it's actually sort of like the film is showing us the film within itself. You know what I'm saying? It's like a metaphor for the situation that they're in because these dolls and these doll houses are being manipulated by her controlling them, right? By an outside force.
Uh huh.
And it's sort of the same exact situation with the movie in its entirety, right?
Damn.
They are being manipulated by outside forces.
Yeah.
They aren't in control of what's happening, and they even allude to that at the beginning of the movie. every single thing that happens in this film, from the girl being beheaded to
Hmm.
the her thinking that she can burn the book and then it'll save her and not her husband or whatever.
Yeah.
All these things. It's the reason why, and to add another layer, why this film's so depressing and like, like hopeless, I guess, is because the characters are literally screwed from the first frame.
Yes, they are actually cursed. I know
That's
Ari.
yeah.
Ari verbatim said that he kind of thinks the film is essentially about family going to hell, and honestly, yeah, yeah, I totally get that, and it's really just a full on dive into madness, man.
Yeah,
Just like
I'm thinking
demented.
about it. I'm thinking about it now, and it's just fucking me up. And like,
Like the emphasis on beheadings is fascinating. For example, the pigeon beheaded, the girl beheaded,
yeah,
the mother, and the grandma was dug up and beheaded. Um, there's so much there. I'm really curious if like the symbol for the mother, is that something that already made up? Is that like a existing symbol in demonology? I'm not
um,
quite sure.
I, I'm not too sure, but I know he did do a lot of research into the film
Yeah.
and into to get that kind of information. So I'd probably guess, but yeah,
Uh, so I guess let's sort of unpack. There's a lot to unpack, but let's unpack like
sure.
seismic moments. We talked about the incident 20 minutes in. And 20 minutes in. What's a big moment that really stood out? Oh fuck me. Okay, so the sequence, in the sequence, fam, the sequence in the third act. Okay, let me tell you
Which one? Which
something.
one? Wait, do you
When
want to go? Okay, okay. Let's just pick up any ones. We just
yeah,
talk
yeah,
about them
yeah.
for a bit.
Okay, so my boy Peter, I guess his character name is Peter Graham, played by Alex
Yeah, yeah,
Wolff. He wakes up, right,
yeah.
and the mother, guys, the mother is just like on, like just in the corner of the room, like Spider Man or some shit, right? Now here's what's fucked up, right? Now the first time I saw the film,
Don't
there's
get
a
me started on
shot
that.
where he like what's Peter looks out a
I'm
window. His
seeing
nose
my
is
shit
all
in my
fucked up,
now.
right?
God damn.
And you see that bitch. You see that mother just run. She crawls out of the room. You don't even hear her. She just crawls out like Spider Man, right? And I remember just being like, oh my god. But on the second time I saw this,
Uh
this
huh.
is how I know this guy's a true genius filmmaker. She was there on the wall the whole time, and I didn't notice the first
What do you mean?
time.
What do you mean the
Oh
whole
my
time?
god. Okay, so before she like Spider-Man crawls out the doorway while he's looking out the window. Before that, there's maybe like an extended moment of him just simply waking up in bed, and looking around.
Oh yeah, 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 yeah.
But uh, the second time viewing this, I didn't realize that she was there even then in the background, fam,
Yeah,
the
man.
whole time.
And
Um,
that's one of the things that like blew my mind the most, because what's weird, like when people say, oh my god, like the film was like really scary, right? I
yeah,
kind of thought about it myself initially. I'm like, I mean, kind of, not really, but like it was more, I found it at least more disturbing and just like messed up. And then there were I didn't find this film had like jump scares or anything like that. It just
no,
had really unique um you know film techniques that scared me, just because of like for example, I realized in a minute long sequence, it takes me 30 seconds to realize that there's been this thing in the corner with the opacity low, and it takes time for my eyes to adjust, and just the way he puts it from like a small frame to a large frame so you
yeah,
can notice it.
yeah.
It just amazing filmmaking,
It,
and that's the kind of shit that scares me. But it's not necessarily jump scares. It's something, it's like fucking like finding Waldo in the giant picture or in
right.
its frame or some shit.
I just thought the movie was overwhelmingly creepy.
Yeah, that's
and
that's the way I would describe it.
and so dark to the point where like it was just harsh. Like it's like a cruel movie.
No, facts.
I
I
was just like, you know what it is? This is what I think it is. Ari, I can't remember what movie he was talking about, but he was talking about a movie, and he was like, yeah, I really like this horror film, it because it felt evil, and I was like, oh my god, that's what Ari achieved.
No, this shit,
Hereditary,
this shit was evil.
it feels evil, from the
Oh
sound
man,
design, from the score, from the way these performances are during these nightmarish moments.
Sinister.
Yeah, like the that oh no, that scene where he's Peter's just like, mommy please," and she's just like on the other end banging her head against the door, like ricocheting her head against this door.
Bro. And it messes you up because as an audience member, like as you're following this narrative, like you really cannot tell that all the hope is lost as you're watching it for the first time, because you're watching, you're like, okay, maybe, you know, this will redeem itself, or maybe this will happen,
Yeah.
this will happen, you know, because as they do give you like these fake sort of, you know, red herrings and shit, like, you know, whatever, to show you like, oh no, this might work, but it's so freaking dark and evil because no, none of it's gonna end up working. They're all gonna fucking die.
So, but before we get to the ending, because good God, let's scale it back a little bit. How long did it take you as the movie was first coming on? How long
Yeah.
did it take you to realize, like, oh shit, I'm in for something?
I like I said, I think there was two situations that specifically sort of like made me realize it. One, it's an A24 movie. So that
Yeah,
to me,
true,
to
true.
me, to me, I'm
Sure.
I'm like I'm already in for a good ride.
But I'm just talking about
Um,
like let's
yeah,
say
yeah, no,
like the
no,
first like 3 5 minutes.
yeah, definitely. I think it was the framing. I think the very first
Okay.
thing that caught my eye was when they come in the first, you know, couple minutes and they pan into the miniatures and it turns into the framing.
Oh no! Oh goodness!
I
Oh
was like,
man!
word. I'm like, okay, I see you. For me at least. And then the second thing that made me realize, like, okay, like in terms of like horror and, you know, just like how like gritty and real, or with like how deep they're gonna go with this film, is when the daughter got her head cut off.
Oh yeah,
That's to me when I was like,
yeah. That's what I was like. Okay, Ari ain't fucking around, fam. Like
you know, my headphones made some weird noise, bro. I think something's gonna happen, dog. I'm getting shook.
your headphones?
Yeah, it started making some weird like sounds. I'm like, oh
Oh
shit.
really?
Yeah, I was getting creeped out for a second. My bad.
Oh
Continue.
no! Just keep the spirits off us, man. For me, it's crazy as it sounds. The first frame of this movie is when I okay, because it's like a written eulogy or some shit. Like it says something like you know, I don't know. It was like here lies Ellen, blah blah blah, and it was some description about the grandma, right?
Yeah.
But the thing that disturbed me was I could already tell like whoa the sound design already sounds a certain type of a way, and then I noticed that it said that like her death was like on April 3rd, like 2018. From just that first frame, I was like, oh, that's kind of weird. April 2018. Okay, it's odd. It's a little bit creepy. It was recent, wasn't it? No. And then like when it goes from it does that spin around one take shot. So it's like it's looking out the window at the treehouse, and it slowly turns in a circle to the miniature, and then we pull in to the miniature until it becomes the actual room, bro. That might be the creepiest opening to a movie I've ever. The score sounds evil, fam. Evil,
Yeah. It
right?
sounds like it's got something going on still.
The cinematography perfected, fam. When that camera was spinning, it was perfect, fam. When it was pulling in on that miniature and it slowly becomes the actual room, dog, I was like, yo, that's when I knew, like, hold up, fam, we in for something special. Because the
Yeah.
amount of timing that is required to have that meticulous of a shot set up and executed, that buttery smooth, I just can't even take it. Like,
It's so funny. You should see like bullet points of my notes on my screen because I'm looking at them and all you see is death, killing yourself, burning, sleepwalk.
Death.
Like it's just
Yeah, her sleepwalking thing was super creepy. How she had like weird glitches.
yeah, and you know what? That's to me when I added like another like kind of like weird effect,
Yeah.
or like sort of say like demonic or like just some sort of twist,
Yeah.
is when it's established that she sleepwalks and she almost fucking murdered her family on accident.
Yeah, it was like, what'd she say? Paint thinner or some shit?
Paint thinner, and he's like, oh, that's why you hate me, because I was gonna fucking burn you. Duh, like
Yeah, and she's
that.
like, well,
I
it's
love
because I was sleepwalking. Obviously, it's like, bitch.
I love how just like nonchalantly they sort of just kind of squeeze in that new element thread that tied in pretty hefty later on. I thought it was so subtle, but like well done.
Yeah. And,
Because there was already so much things happening before. It's like I feel like if you added that earlier on
Mm-hmm.
and just sort of like a to your face sort of situation, wouldn't have worked as well. And that just reminds me of another thing was there are moments of exposition in this film.
sure.
There are, and the two moments I found it was like very blatant and heavy, I thought were so well put in a situation where it made sense to have something like that explained to you. I think the first one was the group circle earlier on in the film when she goes to Tony Collette's character
Oh
goes in to
wow, that scene
console.
was incredible. Yeah.
First of all, like I thought that was a really powerful scene, just in terms of like his character sort of opening up, talking about her mental health and where she's at and stuff in this dark situation. But two, it served as a sort of way to you know, tell the audience what's happening,
Sure.
what has happened in her previous life, so you kind of get up to date where she's at, what's, her grandma's situation, some other stuff like that. So I thought that was a perfect way to sort of squeeze all that in without feeling overwhelming or overbearing or too much.
Mm-hmm.
And I think there was another situation where they did that as well, but I don't recall what
No,
it was.
I would 100%. I thought exposition was handled. It almost felt like there never was exposition, really.
Exactly.
but yeah, it was handled very well. That scene with her, in that circle talking to that help group or whatever, and the way
Yeah.
that the camera pulls in, and it's all in one take. I was just like, what is he doing with the camera in this movie? It's just incredible. And I had a hard time with that scene because a lot of what she was saying, I directly identified with. Particularly her saying that she's just not someone who like seeks help for her
Hmm.
mental health,
Yeah.
and that like kind of seeking help with that kind of weirded her out, like made her feel strange. I was like, God damn, it's kind of like me in a way.
No, and
Yeah.
sorry,
Mhm.
no, that's a really good point that you mentioned.
Mhm.
Something about this film, the way I describe it at least, is I felt like it was two different movies going on at the same time. One was this sort of obviously supernatural, demonic,
Yeah.
genuinely gripping horror movie,
Hmm.
and then the other was, which I thought was for around like maybe the first hour 15 minutes, whatever, maybe like almost 2 acts.
Sure.
Just a family drama, like a really depressing family drama that was really grounded and felt real. Like you said, you could really relate to a lot of the things going on.
Yeah.
They talked a lot about mental health and just seeing this family, from like personal family stuff and like friends and stuff. Just that on that level alone,
Yeah.
to me, I thought Ari handled it so well. It felt like I was just watching some other A24 film or something like that, or some great drama. Just seeing how depressing this family's life is, and like them trying to work it out, and not talking to each
Yeah.
other. Seeing the dad's perspective, the mom's perspective, the son's perspective, like it was just a really sad film. And there's honestly like maybe 1 or 2 points before shit even hit the rails,
Hmm.
for reals, that
Sure.
I kind of like got a tear in my eye. I was like, fuck, like I really, this is a really impactful narrative, and the way that they're going about executing it was really well done in my opinion. So like I felt when all the other more mind bending things transitioned, I felt bad, and I'm like, damn, like I was really hoping that maybe something would turn around, or there would be some redemption or something, and it felt more realistic. So when this floating off the wall corner shit happened, I was like, I was more open to it happening, and I'd be like, what the hell, that's so stupid, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, the relatability with the family
Oh, so
really added another layer to the horror. Like when the mother was like should I feel worse about my mom's death? Because we weren't really that connected. I was like, oh damn, I feel that. I mean, not with my own mother; she's still alive. But I feel where she's coming from, though.
no,
I've
exactly.
had that kind of experience, sadly. Or
And do you think when you make these characters, like, and you set up, when you make such a great setup like that, it makes you relate to them more, so you don't want them to die, or you don't want these bad things to happen to them, and
Mhm.
that gives you, like, maybe that's what gives some like a really sort of a gritty, like gutting experience, because you're watching these people you kind of really felt a lot of emotions for, and you can understand where they're coming from, just
Yeah,
brutally just fucking slaughtered, just
I know.
one by one.
Like there was a conversation between Peter and the mom. And Peter was like, he was lying, obviously, but he was like, I'm trying to go to like the school barbecue, and God, the way that she first responded, like without looking at him, very coldly, was like, oh okay, where? Oh, so you're not gonna be eating with us? Are you taking your sister? Have you checked with your sister? Like that whole conversation, I was like, fam,
Oh,
do you know how many times I've had this moment with like me and like my
no,
mom
facts,
or like
facts.
an uncle, I was like, whoa, this movie's really getting deep. And
Facts. Speaking of that too, the one scene where like it like really hit me too was the big family dinner sequence. Not before all the crazy shit started happening. When the
oh
mom
no,
when the mom was fed up, and she literally she roasted her son to kingdom come.
bad,
Bad. Like
bad.
she said, like She was like, this, and that. Your nose is too big. Your shoes smell. You know, she like called him out on
Man,
everything.
she borderline said that nigga. It's not only is it your fault that she's dead, fam, but guess what? You're not forgiven.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. And then when he came back with the clap saying the paint thinner shit, I
Oh,
I was so stressed out watching this movie. Like,
yeah.
bro, I was looking at this movie like, fuck, he called her out.
Fam, let me tell you something. When it cut to them at that dinner, I
And the dad,
literally I this is the first time that not only have I ever been scared to hear a conversation, but this is the first time that I've ever looked away because I already knew that conversation was going to be bad. I
yo,
knew because when you think about the whole rest of the film prior, and then you get to that dinner scene, it's almost laughable. It's almost amazing that that's not like a hilarious moment. No.
no, and you know what you have to really commend this film is,
Mm,
you know, horror films, they often they for some reason they do sort of have like an element of comedy, like like
sure.
sprinkled in throughout
Sure.
sometimes. This film, and you know, I think this goes to also, you know, the performance by Toni Collette specifically, and
Oh yeah.
you know, some of the other actors, is they did such a good job in the script at balancing it, where
Yeah.
where it almost could have went as a joke, even though there's like one or two, you know, actual sort of like little joke jabs here and there.
Mm-hmm.
Where in the serious moments where it could have got jokey, it didn't,
No.
and they did such a well job at, you know, just making sure that balance was there. Um,
Ooh, let's talk about the performances real quick. Let's just
sure.
talk about it real quick. Her character name is Annie, right? Or Anne? Or I think it's Annie.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah, for Tony Collette's character, yeah.
Yeah. Oh my god. Not only do I think that she is almost demanding an Oscar with this performance, but like, there's just so many small things, fam. Like at the dinner scene when after Peter claps back, he was like, "Well, you know, she didn't want to go to the party, so why was she there, mom?" And
Oh
the
man,
mom makes this face,
she's like, you
and
got me,
then
bitch.
the dad, whatever, the dad, he says something. He's like, "Not now, not now," or some shit.
He's like, you
But
know,
the
he's like,
face,
this is ending now. He's like, this is
yeah.
ending now, no more.
But fam, the face that she was making before he said that, we could be at this all day, but seriously, she killed it. I mean, the range of emotions, the fact that she is operating on borderline over the top, peaking levels, and I never found her cheesy. I never
Yeah.
rolled my eyes at her performance. I just thought she was extraordinary. You know.
No, I pretty much agree with, you know, everything you said there. It easily could have went over the top. It easily could have, you
Sure.
know, become cheesy, or, you know, she might have been, you know, like kind of just too out there with what she was doing. Granted, some of the stuff she says and does, but I think because how just deep some of the shit was that was happening in this film,
Hmm.
um, and that we get to see her express that, it just didn't come across as that. We sort of just came across as like, I can understand why she's acting like this. I can understand why we may think like why she's yelling, or like she's like acting this way, because they really give you a lot from of her perspective. Um,
Yeah.
so yeah, I
Like
thought she did just a phenomenal job.
during the dream sequence where she tells her son, I know it was a dream, but when she told her son that you know, I didn't want to have you, I wish I wasn't your mother. I tried everything I could to have a miscarriage. That
Oh
honestly was. I mean, we're talking. There's numerous moments as fucked up as this, and these moments really ate away at me. Like I almost felt like Rick when Negan just totally disheveled him by the end of episode 1, season 7, Walking Dead. For real, like
no, no facts. I kind of, I'm with you there, man. Like when I tell you I was distraught leaving the theater, like
yeah,
I dead ass was.
like there's so many moments that just broke my heart, man, and horrified me at an equal measure. When the dad, when he, whoa, I just made a weird connection. So like you know how
Weird.
Peter, when the little girl gets beheaded and Peter had to sit there and like look in the back seat and deal with this horrific thing. I think there's an echo of that when Peter slams his face into the desk, and the dad has to come pick him up. There's intriguingly a moment where the dad is driving,
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Peter's in the
yeah.
back seat, and the dad is just horrified what's in the back seat and breaks down crying. That scene really, for whatever reason, because the dad had been strong all the way up until that point.
Yeah, man. Oh man, you don't understand how bad I felt for the guy, man.
Mm,
He just kept trying it. Like they subtly hint that like he's borderline, like call not maybe not call the police, but call for like help
sure.
or get some like mental health services or something, or see like what's going on with his wife,
Mm,
and he just holds it out, just trying to get hope, and but then it was too much for him, and it was
yeah.
just so sad to see him go.
Before we get to the ending, because we're inevitably about to slam into it. A couple other things. First off,
Sure.
Ann Dowd. Listen, people, Hollywood, stop ignoring this chick, this woman. This woman is spectacular. At least in the things that I've seen her in. I'm obsessed with The Leftovers. I thought she was incredible there. I love The Handmaid's Tale. I haven't gotten to season 2 yet, but my
For
God,
this is for who again?
Ann Dowd is the woman who plays Joanne.
Joanne. Yeah, yeah. Okay.
Which is it fair to call Joanne a witch? Is that fair, or what should we call her? A
Uh,
sorceress? What should we call her?
Joanne. I think if anything, she's not a recruiter, would she be? Because was she fronting on like, oh, I just figured out about this stuff, or she's been doing that
Oh
from
no
time?
no no! She's been doing that for a minute. Because remember,
Okay, so
there's
so
pictures of
nah, yeah,
Joanne
yeah,
with the
she a witch.
grandma with the
She
grandma.
witch. She witch.
Okay. But yeah, that actress needs way more praise. Because again, like, she's just exceptional here. The way that she played me, right? Because I thought she was just some random woman who decided
Yeah.
to play with the supernatural and it worked. Come to find out, this bitch is literally responsible for the ending of the film. But before we get there, like, there is an
That's on
incredible.
Loki.
Oh my
That's on
god.
her for that. The film is a little bit on Annie for not knowing her family history. A
Oh yeah,
little bit.
a little bit.
You could have gone ancestry.com one time when things were going weird.
Fam, you could like read through some of the stuff she left behind,
Yeah.
fam. Didn't old grandma have like an engraving like straight up just like on the floor of her room? Remember that? It was like a triangle. Like what the
Yeah,
fuck?
that was.
Even during like the eulogy at the beginning of the film, where she was like, my mom, she would sometimes have private rituals. It's like, wait, pause. What you mean? Who says that
You
about
didn't
family
see the
members?
same car parked in your driveway once or twice?
Which, by the
I'm just
way,
joking.
the first lines from Annie is some of the most revealing and heartbreaking things I've ever heard a character say as an intro to their movie. But anyway, there's just so much in this movie. Holy shit! When even something simple, when Ann Dowd, when she's in the parking lot, this is all done in one take. When Ann Dowd, she's in the parking lot, Tony Collette comes out of like a grocery store or some shit with her shopping cart, and
Yeah.
Ann Dowd is just overjoyed, telling her how like, oh yeah, I did this seance and I spoke to blah 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 again, and trust me, you can meet your mother again, or you can whatever, you can talk
Oh
to your
man.
daughter again. Not only was that done in one take, fam, and like you can even see like the passage of time, like you see the sun setting and shit in the same scene. Like, who is Ari and where did this nigga come from, fam? Like, whoa. And then
No man.
even when she's performing the seance, again, the one take sequences are extraordinary. When you see
Cup.
the wind blow in Annie's face, just oh man. Thoughts? Current thoughts on
Yeah,
any
no,
of
no.
it?
I didn't even really take in the one shot aspect to
Oh
that scene.
yeah,
Now that you mentioned, that's wild.
yeah,
Um, yeah, just touching on this sort of seance and all that. Well done sequences that start. I think that was a real sort of seeping of these like supernatural shit,
sure.
and they did a really good job because once that cop moved, I low key looked at that and I was like, here we go. Here, this is when it starts.
Yeah, I didn't expect them to embrace the supernatural stuff so much. Like
Oh yeah,
when the mother wakes up Peter and the father. I gotta stop referring to him as father. What was his character name? Steve. So when Steve and Peter are woken up, and she's like, "Oh my God, you guys gotta see this. You gotta work with me here." And they start doing, I guess, a little seance there. There's so much to pick apart. When
oh
the
yeah.
father bends down and he hears growling, and he stands up, and this chick is just growling, and like Charlie gets inside of her body for a second, and then Charlie leaves, and she's like, "Oh my God, what happened? What?" Like, Whoa, man. Especially, like, anytime that the son, Peter, she's like, Mom! Mom, stop, please! I just... Man.
Yeah.
God. Anything else you want to say before we get to the ending?
Yeah, sure. Let me just go through my chilling moments section.
Okay.
The classroom scene is number one.
Oh, whoa! Wait, we got balls on that real quick. I don't want to jump head first into the ending just yet, but okay, so when he raises his hand, right? The hand?
That's like that like sort of just like pan where you see you know it's wrong because he's doing some shit like this
Yes.
like yeah or some shit. It was unbelievable.
Bro,
His
let me fuck you up real quick. So at the end of
yo
the film, when we see Charlie's severed head on that sculpture,
yeah.
guess what movement is doing? Yeah, fam. Because that god didn't even catch that the first time. That sneaky bastard, Ari. And then just that look before he slams his face, that look
Yeah.
where I almost don't even know if I can articulate it, but like he just looked like he was just straining, and the
He was being
classmates,
possessed.
yeah, and the classmates are like, what? Wow, I think that's
Yeah.
real terror when he snaps out of it, and it's just him screaming with blood on his face.
That's just like the definition of just yeah, man. It just that was too much, man. Like I was really just like shook.
Do you think this is one of the few examples of real horror in a film? Like
I
not
think
like that movie tropic shit, you know?
no, like this is actually like kind of like horrifying, man,
Yeah.
because it gets you in like very real situations. Again, they poke at your emotional chords. They
Mm-hmm.
leave them open with all this family drama you've been experiencing for an hour.
Sure.
They give you hope. They take it away, and then on top of that, they put some genuinely terrifying things.
Sure.
So yeah, I think it would be versus some like ooh some CGI demon popping up with some loud noises for 1 second, and then I get like scared. I
Sure.
think this is horror. This is horrifying.
I think so. Two things really quick. One,
No worries, go for it.
when the fact that I even forgot this happened is scary. But when she cuts off the pigeon's head and just nonchalantly,
Yeah, that
just
was you know what. That's another moment where I was like,
yeah, she just puts it in her pocket, right?
yo,
Eat some
Peter, you where
chocolate.
you at, Peter? Peter.
But the thing that got me is when she's looking across the street and she sees her grandma. That moment, honestly, it felt like something out of The Shining. You know, I'm trying not to give too much praise, but really, it really did feel like certain moments from The Shining,
Yeah,
when the blood would connect like the minds of Danny and Jack Nicholson. You know, I wanted to get your thoughts on the reflection
sure.
of light. I can't crack the code on this. We see it throughout the entire film.
Yeah, yeah,
This weird reflection of light that seems to have a mind of his own. In fact, that light source led the little girl to look across the street at her grandma. You know.
yeah. Um,
Thoughts on like what's the meaning with that? What's up with that? I can't quite crack the shell on that. I'm not sure. I thought maybe it's a remnant of fuck. What's that demon's name at the end of the film?
Starts
Paimon.
with a P, yeah, something like that. So
Paimon.
what I got
Yeah.
from that is I think it has to do with their family and like I guess like being passed down. I think that's has something to do with it as they're getting closer to their maybe their goal or
Maybe.
like the summoning of it or whatever. Once they have like their step is initiated and they're on their way to finishing their goal to get to the next step, I think
Mm,
that sort of helps them direct them where to go or like the being whatever is directing them where to go next. That's what I got from
cause
it.
maybe.
Sort of like how in a
Maybe.
video game where it shows you like an arrow where to go next for the next mission, shit like
Okay.
that.
Do you think maybe it's like a remnant of the grandma?
I don't know if I would say specifically a remnant of the grandma, but I could definitely see being something like passed down from like through their family tree.
Or maybe like some kind of energy spawning from the
Yeah,
symbol around the necklace she was wearing when she was in the coffin. Perhaps I don't know.
that is also true. I don't.
Because that
Could be.
same light source, I think, is what made Peter wig out in the classroom, if I'm not
Yeah,
mistaken.
because that like sort of came onto him. And
Hmm.
what do you think about the reflection of him smiling up to himself? Do you think like what do you think about that shit?
Hmm.
Remember
It's
that sequence?
yeah. It's wait, what the fuck? Pause. Why did that happen to him? You know, I'm trying to think.
That happened
Well,
after the seance, right?
I think so. I mean, I know
So
that
so maybe
a director has said that the family is cursed. So maybe the reason why.
I think maybe when they did the seance in the house, it opened up all the can of worms to start
Okay.
just spreading around.
Yeah, maybe like the supernatural elements from that point are it's almost like slowly seeping into their lives, and I don't
I
know.
think
Maybe
that's what they're doing.
it's potentially it could be a remnant of the demon god, because we do see Peter make the hand stance, in the classroom. So
Mhm.
possibly it's really interesting. But anyway, were you still going through your chilling moments, or have you wrapped up?
Yeah, we pretty much got through the classroom scene, the big dinner sequence with 20
Hmm.
snaps, daughter death. The ending is next, but we already have that. We're gonna do that in a second.
Sure.
I guess the next two things connect to the ending. So, the dad burning and the mom killing
Ooh,
herself.
whoa, whoa! You just remind me of a huge sequence, all done in one take, by the way. When the mother is begging Steve to burn the book. It's hard to explain. I don't even know if I can articulate why. Maybe you can, but that scene was so dark to me. Even though it's just simply her begging him to burn the book, but I felt like it was deeper than that, though.
It
Because
was him. It was him. To me, what it was, because she literally said in that scene, if I'm not mistaken, that like I'm connected to the book. When I try burning it, it burned me. So
yeah,
he
yeah,
was
yeah, yeah,
aware. He
yeah,
unless he was like sort of distraught because of the mental state where everything was at. Like she basically said, "You kill this book, you kill me."
yeah,
And I like to me from his expression was he was like, "There's nothing I can do to make you stop.
yeah.
So I'm just gonna do this. I don't necessarily believe that if I burn this, it's gonna kill you, but I'm gonna do it just." I have nothing left in me, so I'm just gonna do this
Yeah.
sequence to hopefully get you help. That's what I thought it was.
Yeah, like
Um,
fam, I literally just saw your mother's headless body upstairs.
yeah, it's like I really he's like I really don't know what the fuck to do anymore. So if this is gonna make you get help, sure.
Mhm.
Then he does it and he fucking dies.
I kind of took it as like, well, maybe it was way before that, but I kind of took it as like he's officially given hope. He's given
No,
up.
100%. He's done.
He's given up on her though, on her.
Yeah, because you see at that point him kind of like beg her and beg her and beg her, and then he realizes like you're officially gone. He said
Yeah.
like, he said that he gave some sort of like signals towards that.
Hmm.
So him burning the book was also like him not giving a fucking
Yeah.
yeah.
I would almost go as far as to say that what if like literally he lost love for her, you know? Man, that was fucked. So the dad gets burned to a crisp. And
Yeah,
then
straight up.
so let's just really fast forward here.
No worries.
The moment where you hear sawing, fam, and Peter looks up,
Oh,
and his. Let me tell you something, man. Even on the second viewing, first off, it was worse on the second viewing somehow, which I didn't even know such a thing was possible. But the expression of her in midair, staring at her son while she is sawing her head off, is I I just can't get that part out of my face. It was somehow worse on the second viewing, fam. It is creepy on a level that I actually don't have words for. Maybe you got some, but whoa. Because at first I
oh.
didn't. On both
You don't know what's
screenings,
happening. You don't really
right?
know what's happening.
Yeah, I was like, wait. And I thought she had two knives, and I thought she was stabbing her neck. That's what I thought, right? And then when she did it faster, and I realized she was sawing her head off, and Peter jumps out the and then well, first off, we start seeing these naked people. Like there was this naked. There,
When you see the first naked man after the dad
nah,
burned himself,
no, you see him
bro,
smiling. You see him smiling in the darkness, naked,
that was
right?
so fucked up. Oh my god. I was like, what do you mean? There's mannequins now? Like I was so shook.
By the way, when you guys see this for a second time, keep your eyes peeled because when the dad dies, oh my gosh! Shout out to Tony Collette's performance when the dad dies and she starts screaming, and then we see the reflective light, and she makes that tongue click, and she has this creepy expression on her face. Watch for this. The next thing we see an outside shot a shot of the house. It's daytime. When it turns to night, fam. If you look carefully, you will see all these naked people. Oh my god, it gives me chills. You'll see all these naked people, tinies standing around the house. Like it literally just made the hair on my arms just raise. Because I didn't notice this the first time I saw the film. We see these naked people. Peter jumps out the window as his mom's head rolls across the floor.
Oh, and see, I think that's the sequence where all the sound started like coming, like the subtle sound effects of like the head falling and like
Yes.
the clicks, where I think those were in sequence when Peter jumped out the window or something, or when he gave up,
Mm-hmm.
and those are just some beautiful, crazy, freaking
It,
nuts moments for me.
maybe this is just me, but in my opinion, when Peter jumped out the window and we heard her head roll across the floor, I thought it was gonna cut the credits. No, am I
That
alone?
I thought, no, because I don't think anybody who watched that movie would have anticipated the last 2 minutes, 3 minutes, whatever it was.
Mm-mm. Mm-mm.
Dude, when she started floating, oh my god!
When it first off, when this beautiful music, by the way,
Yeah.
starts, this beautiful music starts playing, you see the mom's headless body float into that treehouse, right? And then Peter stands up, he makes the tongue click, right? My man he goes into treehouse. You're seeing these kneeling naked people. We see this golden statue of some god with Charlie's severed head on top of it, right? Um, and then I guess at this point he's already just Paimon, whatever the demon
Yeah,
lord,
yeah. And then you hear like the grandma's voiceover. Oh.
and the beautiful foreshadowing. It was foreshadowed so well that I couldn't even talk shit about it because at first I was like, did this nigga just jump the shark? But then when I rewinded the film in my mind, I was like, nah, no, he laid the groundwork
That's what I'm saying.
specifically.
So when I see people get mad, like, oh, like the last, like, like they ruined it for me. I'm like, well, if you think about it, like that was the whole purpose of the movie. It was like
Yeah.
they literally set it up where it's
Mm-hmm.
like there's a larger narrative that's gonna happen. We'll give you hints towards it, but
Mm-hmm.
that's why like the miniature stuff really kind of sets it in because it's like you're watching a story now. You just kind of get
Mm-hmm.
inserted into there. So like this crazy shit's gonna happen, and like you should be okay with it because that's the whole point of it.
For the record, fun fact: some of those miniatures, I'm still trying to understand very very quickly. Like there's one scene where the mother she storms in and she turns a miniature around because she doesn't want to look at it. And still, even after second viewing, I'm like, fuck, what the fuck does that miniature mean? Like, there's so many levels to this film. But anyways, back to the ending before we get too long here. So I believe we hear Ann Dowd giving the final voiceover, which really, hold on a second, I have to read it verbatim because
No, go for it.
I didn't realize that the dialogue was like out, and I when I read it online, I just like broke out into goosebumps. But first off, while I'm finding this, the groundwork was laid when the mother when she went home and she was looking through her mom's old books, and she was reading about that goddamn demon, and how it needs like a male human host. Fam.
That's what I'm saying. Like they really set it up. So
Yeah, they didn't cheat. They didn't jump the shark. I think the logic in the movie is totally sound. It never breaks its own rules. At least I don't think so. You know?
like I think it breaks its own rules, but it's like in the terms of like just the logic in terms of like how these events happen, like how
Sure.
sad they are, and how like it's like, oh, the book burns the second time
Mm-hmm.
for her, the dad, not her. It's because it's like, first of all, it's these supernatural forces who are evil, who are
Evil.
trying to take, like, who are trying to kill you and take over you and blah 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 blah.
They
It's
were
like,
trying. Do you realize how insane this movie is? Just like literally, this family was just pawns.
yeah,
They were just the mother was just and Dowd, like their whole mission was just to raise pretty much like a demon god. What they say he was like the king of like the eighth layer of hell or some crazy shit.
that's what I'm, yo, that's what I'm saying. When you get to the end of this movie, and they sort of like lay it down for you, and
Mm-hmm.
that like you realize like how insignificant really these characters were that you really grew
Yeah,
attached to, and they show you it's
yeah,
like, yep, they all this was just to get this crazy cult going. It's like, wow, it's like that in itself is just such a mind-bending experience.
bro. Look at this, bro. So the song, which currently is my favorite song of the year. Fun fact. So from the Hereditary soundtrack, there's a song called "Reborn." It's my favorite song outside of the first song, called
Hmm.
"Funeral." And someone wrote, according to demon mythology, Paimon is preceded by a trumpet and a march of ghouls playing instruments. This is followed by the demon's roar. If you listen to the track, the whole thing plays out like a type of royal procession with the demon's roar eventually coming in. Shout out to
It's
that
crazy.
shout out to that YouTuber who wrote that, John something I can't pronounce. But anyway, um, whoa, fam, whoa! The fact that we just essentially saw that at the end of the film, and when they put the crown, God, it gives me goosebumps. When they put the crown on his head, and
Was it just me? Were you trying to figure out if those naked people were real or not?
no, I thought they were real. It's just I didn't. I was just like, why? I don't understand. Like they sure as fuck weren't here before. What's going on? I was
Shit.
so
Bro,
lost.
I'm not even joking. Talking about this movie just creeping me out. Like I'm just like I'm seeing shit and like it's actually like I had to stop thinking about this movie because it was just fucking me up.
Michael, listen to this.
Shush.
This is the last voiceover. The last voiceover, fam. She says, "Our king, our king, we have searched the northwest winds for you, and we have given you a corrected body. You are Paimon, fam. I just can't, fam." And then the movie just cuts off, Michael.
And this movie was
And
uh
I just think about this. They brought like they resurrected like this demon god. Think about this. Like without CGI, fam. You dig? Like there's one Ooh, this was a trippy sequence, bro. When Peter is eating lunch, I think he's at school, right? And Joanne is across the street. You remember this?
sorry.
So Joanne, she's across the street and she's yelling at Peter, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And Peter's
Peter.
yeah, and everyone around Peter, they're oblivious, and she's just talking to him, and she's telling them how like I expel you or whatever.
Yeah.
Like this movie just blows my mind. Like no CGI, fam, no CGI.
Yeah, that's how it didn't need it because of how well done, writing, cinematography, acting, narrative, and the way that they placed you into this story, the way that they makes you think about the film.
Yeah,
Just last comments I have, honestly.
yeah, and I know you gotta go. We're pretty much pretty much done, but I just the movie ends with a demon god being resurrected that's going to rain hell on Earth.
Yeah, practically. I want to see sequel.
Do you
Nah,
think? Do you think he would?
it wouldn't work.
You don't think so?
Nah,
No,
I don't think
nah,
so.
probably not.
Leave it untouched.
Do you think it changes genres because of the ending? Do you think?
It definitely changes like its tone and shift, but like it's only the last 2 minutes. Like I can't really like say that ruins the film or anything for me personally.
Well,
Of how drastic it changes, honestly, because it's
do you
already
think?
then it's
Do
yeah.
you think it's fair to call this film a horror fantasy after seeing the ending? Do you think that's fair or?
Yeah, I don't think I really want like I can't just say this is a horror movie. I don't think I could say that.
No.
I would say that this is a dark family drama that's also has it's kind of disturbingly scary and there's
Yeah.
I guess it's categorized as a horror movie,
Mm-hmm.
but then also it's also I guess yeah a horror fantasy.
Yeah, in a way. Um,
You're good. Sit down.
it just blew my mind.
Oh shit, my bad.
No, you're good. But yeah, I don't know. I know we've been at this for a good stretch, so we're probably about to pull the plug
Sorry.
here. But I mean, I gave it a 10 out of 10. What was your rating of the film?
I gave this one a 9.5 out of 10, and
Interesting.
I
Not a
probably
full
would have
10, fam.
to be honest,
Yeah.
I gotta think about it a little bit more.
Okay,
But
that's
like
fair. That's fair.
it's to me it's pretty much like the best thing I've seen this year probably.
Have you ever given a horror film a 10?
No, I've never given a horror film that I've seen least recently a 10.
Interesting.
But this film was like, even like something like Your Name that I absolutely love is like one of my favorite movies now of all time.
Sure.
I didn't give that a 10 out of 10 until after I saw it, like a little bit afterwards and stuff.
I
But
mean,
yeah, this movie, on like, without a doubt,
sure.
I recognize it for what it is, and
Yeah.
it's brilliant. It's brilliant, and I think it's gonna be being a masterpiece. So
I mean, I know we gotta go, but like, if I have to, I'm trying to give you haters something. The only thing I can give you is that, for one, maybe there's like too much scares. Maybe there's too much disturbing content.
mhm.
Like, I thought the movie was like I said in my review, I thought this movie was like emotional terrorism, not even a
No
horror film.
facts, no facts.
This was like a new genre of terror. The only other nitpick I can really, I do think that the dad got the short end of the stick.
Hmm.
When it just comes to best characters, I just think he got the short end of the stick. I think, I mean, I like the dad, but you could tell that the dad was, he just wasn't as developed as, like, say, Peter or the mom. Hell, I don't even know if the dad was even as interesting as, like, say, Charlie. So
Well, I don't.
if I had
Yeah,
to
yeah.
find a negative, I do think he got the short end of the stick. But a huge nitpick, though. Huge
No,
nitpick, you know?
I think some nitpicks for me would be like, I guess it is a little bit of a slower burn, but to me, I found it to be a totally satisfying, well worth
Yeah, yeah.
one. Um, I guess maybe some people might have found it to be a little, maybe the humor was, maybe if they found it to be out of place, if the 1 2 instances there was, but there's not very
Mhm.
much I can pick apart from this movie, for me
Yeah.
at least.
I'm fascinated. What do you think's the main thing keeping you from giving it the sacred 10? Do you think maybe you just got to revisit it?
I think one, I got to revisit it, and two, I think just I need to dive into it a little bit more for the 1 or 2 things that I might have felt like I felt
Sure.
like
I'm
slightly
just genuinely
lackluster.
curious, just because I just think it's such a I can't remember the last time I was like, God damn, he was so careful. Such a
Yeah,
carefully made film. You might not know this, but all the interiors of the house are sets, bro. Like they're not
yeah.
even it's not even real. Like it's just so carefully made. Good God. It's like maybe this is like the next Stanley Kubrick. You know what I'm saying? It's like, who is this man? You know?
No, facts.
But anyways, I know we gotta get going here, but I appreciate you
No,
coming
thank
through,
you so
fam.
much. No, thank you so much, fam. It's always a pleasure to be on the channel. It's always great to chat with my bro, Jor-El. Hashtag
All
one of
right.
my favorite, what, Jor-El, you are actually one of my favorite YouTubers.
Oh my goodness, thank you, man. Appreciate it.
But yeah, if you guys want to check me out, it's Failwell34 on YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, all that jazz.
Yeah, definitely make sure to check out my boy Mike. He's got like 50,000 subscribers, fucking insane. But
No.
yeah, definitely check out his content. We're about to peace out. What were your guys' thoughts? I'm glad
Let us know.
I was finally able to get this out to you finally because I really needed to talk about Kids See Ghosts. I'm like, I need to talk about it now. I'm about to talk about that next. The album was so good, you guys. My boy Kid cut it and came back out the darkness. Anyway,
Boy.
let us know your thoughts. We out. Aster. Or Aster. Ari, I'm looking for you. All right? I'm coming
See you
for you.
guys.
Peace.